ఎప్పుడు జరిగింది అయిపోయింది చేసాను చేసాం మరి దాని అంతే అలా కూడా అంటే
Hi, good afternoon. Yeah, please confirm my voice is audible or not.
Sir, audible.
Yes, sir, audible.
Okay, thank you. Yes, so we'll do one thing. Just 1 minute. So in previous class, we discussed about how to use the comments, and we discussed about how to use the input function, and we discussed about how to use the variables, and we discussed about what is the purpose of the ID function. So these are the some of the topics we covered as part of our previous session. Now in the today's session, we'll try to understand some more concepts on it, which are nothing but we'll try to understand what are the different data types we are having in the Python side. So data types is nothing but, so it's a kind of a simple topic, but initially it would be simple. So you know string, int, float and all those things. But after that, we are having a few more data types like list, tuple and all these things only. So there we need to spend more amount of time. But before going to there, first we'll try to understand the basic data types. So here we are having the two types of data types we can able to say. One is the predefined data types. And second type of data types we can able to call it as nothing but user defined data types. So first we'll focus on predefined data types in Python. So we are having first one is nothing but none. Next we are having numerical data types like int and float. And after that, we are having sequence data types. In the sequence, we are having string, byte, we are having byte array, we are having list and tuple. And next we are having one more type of data types called as mapping data types. So within the mapping, we are having the data type called as a dictionary. So like this, we are having different types of different types of data types. Here we are having the range also. So string, byte, byte array, list, tuple, and range. All these are falling under the sequence related data types. And we are having the dictionary at the same time. In the numerical data types, we are having the int and float, and we have one more data type called as a null. Now you try to give the answer as per the previous discussion, Sandy. Whenever you want to understand data type of a particular variable, which function we are going to use? If you want to understand data type of a particular variable, which function we are going to use?
Print type of A.
We are going to use a simple function called as a type function. By using the type function, we can able to understand what is the data type of a particular variable. So please try to remember this function, because we are going to use this function multiple times as part of discussing about our data types only. So we'll go one by one. First one is nothing but none data type. So coming to none, it is nothing but it's a kind of a null operator, or it's a kind of a null value. So in the database side or in the Python, we are giving the null value, right? So coming to Python, instead of giving it as a null, simply we are going to give it as a none. So for that reason, indirectly we can able to say none is going to work as a null operator, or it is going to work as a null value. Now, if you want to perform the practice, what we can do, just we need to open the IDLE. Within the IDLE, we can able to perform all our required practice only. So how to open the IDLE? So hope everyone remember. So just we need to go to the start. And once we click on the start, after installation of the Python, here you can able to see the IDLE application. Once we click on that, it is going to open the window like this. In this window, we can able to perform all our required operations by depending on our requirement. Just what I'm doing here is I'm giving this value as a equal to none. Now, if I'm going to give type of A, what's happening? Simply we are getting output as a kind of a none type. Indirectly for A, we are assigning the value called as a null. But in the Python, instead of calling it as a null, we are calling it as a none. So we are assigning the value called as a none. And if you are given the type of A, it is given the output as a this is a kind of a none type. Now tell me, in the database side or in any other language, what is the meaning of null value?
Empty.
A kind of a empty, or we can able to call it a kind of a unknown value only. In the same way, coming to Python also, whenever you want to define the empty values or whenever you want to define the unknown values only, in that situation, we are going to use the data type called as nothing but none. And if you want to assign the none values, then what we can do here, simply we can able to assign the none like this. In the database side, we are giving it as a null in a particular column. But coming to Python, if you want to assign the none value to a particular variable, just we have to give it as A equal to none. With that, it is taking this value as a null value into your variable A. Okay. In the same way, next we need to understand about int. It's very simple. To represent integer values, we'll use int data type. But tell me here, in Python, do we need to define the data types while creation of the variables? This is the one more topic we discussed in the previous classes. In Python, do we need to define the variables separately? It's not required because it is going to take the dynamic typing, which is nothing but once we are going to assign the values, based on the values, automatically it can able to understand what is the type of the data type it is using. Now, for example, I am giving simply A is equal to 10. After that, how we can able to find out the data type? Just give it as a type of A. So here we assign the integer variable. For that reason, it is given the output as a int only. Indirectly, whenever we are assigning the values to a particular variable, Python can able to understand what type of data type it is. It need to take. With that, it will take the data type automatically. We are not specifying any data type separately here. Automatically, Python can able to understand what is the data type it need to assign based on the value. Now, in the same way, for example, I am giving, for example, A equal to 10.2. Now 10.2 is nothing but is a kind of a float variable, or we can able to call it as a decimal. Now if I am going to give it as type of A, What's happening? We are getting output as a float. Indirectly, here for A, this record or this variable, we are not giving any data types only. But even if you are not giving any data type, internally it will take that value as a data type automatically. And whenever we are not giving any precision values, that kind of values we can able to call it as a integer. And whenever you want to, whenever we are given the precision values, then such kind of values we can able to call it as a float data type. So here, if you want to give the integer values, we are given the, it is taken the integer data type. If you are given the float values, what is happening here? It is taken the data type called as a float data type. Okay. Now, can we able to convert project or to define precision values? We can use float data type. So for the purpose of representing the precision values or for the purpose of representing the to represent the, one second, spelling mistakes. So to represent the precision values or to define the precision values, simply what we can do here, we can able to use the data type called as a float data type only. So one is the integer and one is the float. Actually, both we can able to call it as a numerical data types because both are falling under the numbers only. But within the numerical data types, we are having the int as a separate data type and float as a separate data type. Int we are giving for the integer values. If any value is not having the precision, that we can give it as a int. And if you want to deal with the decimal values and precision values, then we are going to use the data type called as a float. Okay. In the same way, we are having one more data type called as a string. So what is the string? Any idea? Simply we can able to call collection of letters.
Collection of characters.
So we can able to say collection of letters, or we can able to call it as a collection of characters only. Now, for example, here I am giving name equal to I'm giving name equal to Srinivas, then I'm giving simply type of name. So if I given the type of name, it is given the output as a kind of a string data type. And whenever you want to represent the characters or whenever you want to represent the words as per the requirement, then it is taking the data type called as a string internally. We are not defining any string data type, but whenever we are giving any characters or whenever we are giving any kind of words only, automatically what will happen? It will take it as a string data type internally. With that, if you are given the type function, it will give output as a string. Okay. Now, on top of this string data type, we can able to perform few operations like this. For example, I'm giving name is equal to Srinivas. After that, if you want to display only first letter, simply we can able to give it as like this only. So from the name, I want to fetch the only first letter. If you want to fetch only first letter, we can able to give it as a name of 0. So just observe. I'm giving name of 0. So with this, what will happen? It is given the value called as a letter S. Indirectly, you try to give the answer. As part of this name, it is starting the value from where? It is starting from 0 or it is starting from the 1?
0, 2.
It is starting from the 0 only. So as part of counting the number of letters, it is starting from the 0, not from the 1. That's the reason when I'm giving name of 0, what is happening here? It is given the letter position which is present at the 0th letter. So that value is coming in the output. So it is giving output as a yes. In the same way, as on top of the string values, we can able to perform the slicing operations. On top of string, we can able to perform the slicing operations. Slicing operation is nothing but, for example, now I am giving name of. Any guesses what would be the output?
Sri SRI.
So what will happen is it is starting from the 0th letter and it is giving all the letters before the second question only. So if you are given the 0 and 2, what will happen? It is giving all the letters before the second question. Now 0, 1, 2, which is nothing but it is going to give output as a only S and R. Just observe. Giving name. What's happening? We are getting output as a SR. Generally, people are having the confusion like this. If you are given the 0 and 2, it need to give output as a 0, 1 and 2, which is nothing but we need to get output as a SRI, but it is not given the SRI yet. So what is happening here? This is the starting position. This is ending position minus 1. Okay, if you are given the 2, what will happen here? It is considering 2 minus 1, which is nothing but 0 and 1 letters only will coming on top of your output. Now in the same way, for example, I am giving like this. Name of 1, 4. Any guesses what is the output? I'm giving name 1 and 4 with the colon. So if I'm going to give like this, what is the output? It is starting from which letter? It is starting from R. And from R, it is given the 4 minus 1, which is nothing but it is given the data till the third position, which is nothing but it is given the values up to n and d. So we are going to get output as a RIN. You'll see that. So it is giving output as a RIN. So very simple. First one is nothing but your starting value. Second one we can able to call it as nothing but. So from which letter? So before this letter, if you are given the 4, before that we are having the 3. Till that letter only we are going to get the data. If you are given the 6, before that we are having 5. 6 minus 1, 5. Till 5 letters only we are going to get the data. That is the way we need to understand how this slicing operation is going to perform on top of our Python. Okay. Now in the same way, for example, I am giving it as starting position is 0 and ending position is 2 minus 1, which is nothing but 1. So this is the way we are going to get the data. Okay. So next we'll see one more thing. It's my mistake. Instead of, so if you observe here we have to give the square brackets, and instead of square bracket, I am trying to give it as a normal bracket. So for that reason, it's given the error. Now, for example, here I am giving like this name. I am giving now any guesses what will the output? I am giving name. I am giving the starting position, but I am not giving any kind of ending position. And just will type it here. I am giving it as name, starting position. I am not giving any ending position. Now, if you are going to give like this, what will happen? If you are not giving any ending position, by default, it will take some ending position. And so with that, it is starting from the first letter, which is nothing but first letter is nothing but R. Don't think S is a first letter. S is the 0th letter, and R is the first letter. From the first letter till last letter, if you want to get the data, just we can able to give it as a 1 colon. After that, don't give any kind of end values. And if you are not giving any end values, what will happen automatically? It will give all the letters from the first position. Whenever we are having such kind of requirements, simply we can able to frame the slicing operation like this. Okay. In the same way, for example, I'm given like this name. I am not given the starting position. I'm given the only ending position. Now, what will happen?
It starts from 0, first letter.
It is starting from the first letter, but till which letter it is going to give the values? We are given the ending value as a 5, which is nothing but 5 minus 1, 4. Till 4th letter, we are going to get the data. So we are going to get output as a screen like this in our output. Like that, without giving the start value, without giving the end values also, we can able to perform the slicing operation by depending on the requirements. Now, for example, I'm giving like this. Just one
Instead
second.
of commas, column is working.
Just will check that. 1, 6, 1. Okay. Yeah. So actually, if you observe here, so till now what we are doing, we are given the only 2 values, starting position and ending position. And just I want to show you this example. That's the reason. Just I'm trying all these options so far. But if you observe, whenever we are given the name 1 and 6, what is happening here? It is taken the 1 position and 1 letter plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. Like that, it is going to give the values. Now my requirement is I am having Srinivas, but from this I want to get the first letter, then I want to get the third letter, then I want to get the 5th letter. Like that, I want to get the data. So far, what is happening? We are getting values as a 0, 1, 2, 3. This is the way we are getting the values. But my requirement is I want to get 0. Then I want to get the second letter. then I want to get the fourth letter, then I want to get the sixth letter. So like this, I want to get the letters and indirectly I want to perform +2 operation. So far what is happening here, it is performing the +1 operation from the starting position to till ending position to reach, it is taken the +1. With that we are getting the values as a sequence values, but my requirement is I want to give the starting position, I want to give the ending position, but I want to get the alternative letters. If you are having any such kind of requirements, what we can do here is we can able to use the same thing, just we have to give it as 1. I am giving ending position is 6 and here I am giving it as a 2. Just we'll try to run the same thing here. Name, starting position, ending position, and increment value I'm giving it as a 2 only. Now if you see, if you are giving like this, what's happening, it is starting from the first position, but it is performing the operation called as a +2 operation. After the or, it is doing the +2 operation. With that we are getting value as a n. After that it is going to perform the +2 operation. With that we are getting value as a b. Indirectly, instead of giving the sequence value, so far what is happening here, it is given the sequence values. With that you are getting the data sequentially, but my requirement is I want to get the alternate letters by depending on the requirement. Whenever we are having such kind of requirement, other than starting position and ending position, we are going to provide the one more value called as a increment value only. By using this increment value, it is performing the increment operation. With that we can able to get the data on top of your output. Indirectly we can able to say here like this, if I'm going to give name of 1 and 6, internally it will take it as by default name of 1, 6 and 1. Internally it will take it as name 1, 6, 1. So first one is representing your start value, second one is representing your end value, and third one is representing what is the incremental position. You want to get the 1 by 1 letter, or you want to get the 2 to 2 letters alternative letter, or you want to get the alternative 3 letters. If you want to specify that kind of information, here we need to provide the increment value here. Instead of 1, if you want, we can give it as a 2 or you can give it as a 3 only. But whenever we are going to give like this 1, 2, 6, then by default what will happen, it will take it as a 1, 6. Internally it will take this increment value as a 1. With that what will happen, you are going to get the sequence values on top of our output. Just if you observe, I am giving name 1, 6, 1. Now what's happening, we are getting from the first letter RINIB, we are getting all the values in the sequence order. But with this what is happening here, it is given the alternate letters indirectly by depending on the requirement. Either we can able to pass the increment value or we can able to skip the increment values only. Everything is depending on the requirement, whether we need to give the starting position or not, or we need to skip the ending position. All these things we need to decide by depending on our requirement. As per the requirement, you can able to perform slicing operations on top of your string data type. Okay, now in the same way, here we are having one more data type called as a byte, and we have one more data type called as a byte array. So we are having two different data types called as a byte and byte array ID. Here difference is nothing but whenever we are going to create the byte data type on top of byte, we cannot be able to perform any changes. Whereas coming to byte array, what we can do here is, if requires, we can able to perform the changes. So by depending on the requirement, so what will happen, if you are given the byte, we cannot able to perform any kind of changes only, but on top of byte array, we can able to perform the changes. Just I will show you one example here. Give for example like this.
Sir, I'm not getting alternative characters. Like you, sir.
Now you need to give the following. So like this you have to give.
Yeah, I have given the same, sir. 1:2, 5:2, 2 like that.
It will populate. So what is the increment value given?
First I tried with 1.
Okay, so it is given the sequence values.
It has given just 2 letters, 1 and 6.
Now what is the value given in the name variable?
Name Vishnu I have given.
Okay, so can you please try with the some big name only? So might be with the big name you can able to get the proper letters.
Okay.
Give the big name and give the starting position is 1 and the ending position is, for example, 5 or 6. With that, you can try with the increment value. Okay. So coming to byte set, just I'm trying to create a byte variable. So I'm giving it as a x byte of here. Now I'm giving print of x. Sorry, say type of x. See, so what we are doing here is first we are going to define the variable like this, and so with this we are going to define the variable. I'm giving a is equal to, I'm passing 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. And after that, what we are doing here is we are giving it as x equal to bytes of a. Indirectly, we are converting this a into the bytes data type. After that, if you are given the type of a, what will happen? We are going to get output as a data type called as a bytes data type. Directly, we cannot able to define the values for the bytes only. By using the bytes function, we need to convert this operation. With that, we can able to get the value called as a bytes. Okay. Now, if you want to see the values for the bytes, what we have to do here is we have to give like this x of 0. Now see, in the 0th position, what's the value we are having? We are having the value called as a 10. That is the value we are getting on top of your output. First, we need to define the variable like this. After that, we are converting this a variable as a bytes by giving the function called as a bytes function. And if you want to see the values in the x, what we have to do here? We need to give the position. In the 0th position, we are having the value called as a 10. So we are giving it as a x of 0. Now, for example, if you want to see the third one, we have to give it as x of 3. So with this, we can able to get the value for third letter 0, 1, 2, third position. Here in the bytes also, it is starting with the 0th position 0, 1, 2, and 3. With that, you can able to get output called as a 40. Okay. Now in the same way, if you want to get the last one, you have to give it as x of 4. Sorry, it's my mistake on this. So actually we are having only 3. So if you are given the 4, what is happening here? It is searching for 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. But we don't have any value for the 4 here. For that reason, we are getting output as a simply index out of range only. So whenever we are giving any value beyond the limit, then automatically what will happen? You can able to get the output called as a index out of range. But coming to here, we are having only 0, 1, 2, 3. 3 elements only we are having. It's a 4 elements, but it is starting from the 0 and it is ending with the 3. That's the reason if I'm given the 4 here, what's happening? We are getting output as a simply, it's a kind of a index out of range. Okay. Now what I'm doing here is I want to assign the value like this. X of 0 is equal to 50. Indirectly, what I'm trying to do here, in the 0th position, I want to assign the value as a 50. Indirectly, what I'm doing, I'm trying to update the value. Earlier in the 0th position, we are having the value called as a 10. Now, by giving this one, x of 0 is nothing but in the 0th position, I want to change this value as a 50. I am trying to perform this operation. When we are trying to perform this operation, what is the output we are getting? We are getting output as a byte object does not support the item assignment, which is nothing but on top of the byte data type, we cannot able to perform the changes. And as I told you earlier, on top of byte, we cannot able to perform any kind of changes. But as per your requirement, if you want to perform any kind of changes on top of the byte, instead of byte, what we can do here, simply we are going to use the data type called as a byte array. With the help of the byte array, we can able to perform the changes on top of your data by depending on our requirement. Just we'll try to perform this operation now. Giving some data like this. After that, I'm giving then I'm giving type of x. If you see, if I'm giving the type of x, what's happening? Now it is showing the data type is nothing but byte array. Now here also we can able to perform the same slicing operation. If I'm given the x of 0, we are getting output as a 10. If I'm giving x of 20, you can able to get output as a, sorry, it's my mistake, x of 2. If I'm giving x of 2, what will happen? 0, 1, 2, we are getting output as a 30. So this is the way we can able to get the values on top of your byte array. Now what I'm doing here is just I'm giving it as a x of 0 is equal to 50. Indirectly, what we are trying to do here? Earlier, we are trying to perform the change on top of your byte data type, but it is given the some kind of error saying that we cannot able to perform changes on top of the byte. But here we created the data type called as a byte array data type. On top of this byte array data type, I am trying to do the change. What is the first letter? We are first 0 equation we are having 10, but I am changing this as a 0 10 to 50. If you can enter, data has been updated. Now, if you are going to give the x of 0, see what will happen. You can able to get output as a 50. So this is the way just you can able to understand very simply what is the difference between the byte and byte array and the both are completely same. Only one difference is nothing but on top of the byte we cannot able to perform any kind of changes. If you are going to perform the changes like this, what's happening? We are getting the error. But whenever you want to perform the changes on top of your data, then we can go for the byte array. Once we are going to define it as a byte array, then what we can do here? We can able to perform the changes on top of your data by depending on our requirement. Okay. Can you please perform these 3 operations from your side? This one.
One doubt.
Yeah, please.
Sir, the variable should be in the form of array only.
Yeah, in the array only. So otherwise directly we cannot able to create the bytes only. So it should be in the array format.
Okay, for byte and byte array, the variable should have an array value.
Yeah, in array values.
Okay.
But if you want to create it as a byte data type, we are given the function called as a bytes function. But if you want to create it as a byte array, so we have to give it as a byte array function. So like that, we can able to define the data types by depending on our requirement. And if you are given the bytes as a data type, we cannot able to perform any kind of changes on top of the data. But if you are going to give it as a byte array, then we can able to perform the changes on top of the data by depending on our requirement.
Okay.
Sir, here A is a list, right, sir?
Yeah, so list, but we are converting the list with the bytes. So, but so far no one know about the list. That's the reason I'm not bringing the word called as a list only. But if you know about the list, indirectly I can able to say this is the list only.
So everything you can do in list of byte. What is the need of bytes?
Now, this is the one of the data type we are having in the Python. Actually, in the real time, we are not going to use the bytes only. But as part of discussing about the data types, I need to cover all the data types. Just for that reason, we are discussing about the byte and byte array. But as part of real time, we are not going to use the byte and byte array. So what is the topic we are discussing? We are discussing about the data types, right? The only for that reason, just I'm trying to cover all these data types. Okay. Yeah. This will give error here because here I'm trying to update the value from 10 to, for example, 50 or 60. It will give the error. But coming to here, give any error. So next one is the data type called as the list array. So in this list, what we can do here is whenever you want to represent or whenever you want to store different types of elements, to store different elements of different data types. By depending on the requirement, if you want to store different elements of the different data types, then we can able to use the data type called as a list, and this list can grow dynamically. Whatever the number of values we are adding, by using that, it can able to grow only. So list values are going to grow. And one more important thing we need to remember, whenever you want to represent the data in the list, we need to represent data with square brackets. So whenever you want to define the values on top of the list, we have to define this by using the square brackets. With the help of the square brackets, we can able to define the values. Next one, list elements can be modified. So if you want to do any kind of changes on top of the list values, we can able to perform the changes. So we can able to say list elements can be modified by depending on our requirement. Next, we can able to say we can concatenate multiple lists if you want. So you are going to create the list 1, then we are going to create the list 2, and we can able to concatenate list 1 and list 2 by depending on our requirement. Just we'll try to see all the operations one by one only. So how we can able to create the list and how we can able to perform the concatenate operations on top of the list. Just observe here. Giving x is equal to so what I'm doing here I'm going to create the list. Now, why I'm calling it as a list study? Because as part of given the values, we are using the square bracket. Wherever we are going to use the square brackets as part of defining the values, that simply we can able to call it as a list. Just click on enter. And if you want to see the data type, just give it as a type of X. So what type of data type it is taking? It is taking it as a list. Whenever we are representing the values within the square bracket, then automatically what will happen? It will take it as a list. Just I want to show you one more thing. Now, for example, instead of square brackets, I'm giving it as a brackets, normal brackets. After that, I am giving it as a type of X. Now see, whenever we are representing all the values within the normal brackets only, then it is going to take the data type is nothing but tuple data type. Actually, here we are having the list and we are having the tuple like this. We are having the different data types. Whenever we are going to give it as a square brackets, then it is taking it as a list. But whenever we are representing same values within the normal bracket study, then it is going to become as a tuple. Don't think that I am giving the same values. If I am giving the normal bracket or a square bracket, what is the difference? There is the difference study. Internally, if we are given the square bracket, it will take the data type as a list. But if I'm going to give the normal bracket, then what is happening here? Internally, it is taking the data type as a tuple. Okay, the same way, for example, if I'm given the curly braces, type of X. So what's happening? If I'm given the curly braces, it is taking it as a set data type. All these are the different data types we are having. List is one type of data type, tuple is one more kind of data type, and set is one more kind of data type only. But as part of all these data types, if you observe, we are given the similar kind of data. But main thing here is whenever you want to define it as a list, we have to give it as a square bracket. If you want to define it as a tuple, then we have to give it as a normal bracket. And if you want to define it as a set, then we have to go for the curly braces only. Based on the braces, whatever we are giving here, it is taking the different data types internally. And we need to understand what is the difference between the list and tuple and set that we are going to cover either in the today's session or in the tomorrow session. But you need to understand we are having the three different data types like list, tuple, set. For all these things, we are given the similar kind of data. But when we are giving the data, for one thing we are giving the square bracket, for other thing we are giving the normal bracket, for other thing we are giving the curly braces. This is one important thing you have to remember. By depending on the requirement, you need to understand what type of data types you want to create. Accordingly, we have to specify either square bracket or normal bracket or curly braces only. By using that, we can able to create the things. Okay. Now, as per our requirement, what we are discussing about the list. Okay. Whenever you want to create the list, what we have to do here, we need to represent the data with the square brackets. Whenever we are given the square bracket, then what will happen? It will take it as a list. Okay. Now, if you observe. Now, actually, on top of this list also, we can able to perform the slicing operation like we did for the string. In the same way, we can able to perform the slicing operations on top of your list also. Now, for example, I'm giving x of 0. What's happening? It is given the first element into the output only. Now, in the same way, if I'm giving the x of 2. It is giving only the second element, but my requirement is I want to get the data from first element to till second element. Then what we can do, simply we can give it as x of 0 and 2. See what's happening? It is given the 0th element. At the same time, it is given the only the first element because we are given the ending position as a 2 only. So 2 is nothing but it is considering 2 minus 1. With that, it is given the 0th element. At the same time, it is given the first element. So this is the way simply we can able to understand how we can able to perform the slicing operations on top of your list. Okay. So whatever the way we have done the slicing operations on top of the string, in the same way we can able to perform the slicing operations on top of your list also by depending on our requirements. Okay. Now in the same way, giving print of x star 2. Just observe what is happening. Any guesses? When I'm giving the x star 2, what's happened? What happened?
Multiplies.
Multiplying the.
It is
It's contained two
displaying
times.
single list 2 times. And so if you observe here, 1 Srini 1000 Hyderabad. If you want to create the one more list, for example, I want to create the list y. In this list y, my requirement is I want to duplicate all the values and whatever the value we are giving in the x, I want to represent the same values 2 number of times. Then what we can do here, just we can give it as a y equal to x star 2. With that, it is creating the one more list. Just we'll see print of y. Sorry, type of y. If I'm giving type of y, with this what will happen? It is creating the one more list. Y list has been created. Now with this y, what will happen? We can able to see all the values as a duplicate values. We are getting 1 Srini 1000 Hyderabad. Again, we are going to get the 1 Srini 1000 Hyderabad. Like this, for example, as per the requirement, if you want to populate this kind of information, then simply we can able to perform kind of multiplication. For example, if I am given the x star 3, what will happen? Same values will display 3 number of times in the other list only. So like that, you can able to increase the list, or you can able to say dynamically we can able to grow the list by performing the multiplication operation. By depending on our requirement, by doing the multiplication operation, you can able to increase the list size. As part of this example, just by giving the star, what we are doing here, we are increasing the list size as part of our requirement. Now in the same way, for example, what I'm doing here is I'm giving x. This is the first list. Second list I'm giving. So I'm giving x and y. I'm creating the two different lists only. Now what I'm doing here is I'm doing the concatenation operation. Z equal to x plus y. Now after that, I'm giving type of z. So I'm doing the concatenation operation on top of the two lists. After that, we are giving the type of z. Whenever we are doing concatenation on top of the two lists, what will happen? It will create the again one more list only. So here we are assigning all those values to the z variable. When we are giving the type of z, it is given the value called as a list. In the same way, if I'm going to give it as a print of z, because if I'm giving the print of z, what's happening? It is given the concatenated values of your list 1 and list 2 only. So here we are having the 1 Srini 1000 Hyderabad. We are getting the data. At the same time, in the same list, we are getting the one more value called as a 2, quality, 200, YZ. So this is the way. If you want, we can able to perform the list concatenate operations. Now see here. All these are basics which I know only. First to try to understand the basics here. Once you understand the basics, then we'll try to understand how we can able to utilize all these things as part of our real time, and we can able to understand how we can able to utilize all these things as part of our assignments. Directly if I'm going to the assignment, directly if I'm going to the real time example, what will happen? You will get the confusions. For that reason, first to try to understand each and every individual data types, as we discussed int, float, string. Then we discussed about byte array. Now we are discussing about the list. Try to understand each and every data type. At the same time, try to understand on each and every data type what kind of operations we can able to perform. Now on top of list, what operations we can able to perform? On top of list, if you want, we can able to perform slicing operations, or if you want, we can able to perform concatenate operations, or if you want, we can able to perform multiplication operations. So these are the different operations we can able to perform on top of the list by depending on the requirement. Now, for example, if you want to see all the records, if you want to see all the elements one by one in list. So if you want to see all the elements one by one in the list array, then what we can do here is simply we can able to frame the small line of the code like this. For I in Z, then I'm giving print of y. So if you know about the first statement, try to understand this. If you don't know about the first statement, you can able to ignore this one only, because might be in the tomorrow session or day after tomorrow session, we are going to discuss about what is the use of the for operator and how it is working internally. At that time, you can able to get the clear picture. Now here my requirement is in the Z list, whatever the elements we are having, instead of displaying all these in the single row, every element I want to display in the individual lines. And whenever we are having that kind of requirement, indirectly I want to iterate the complete list. Whenever you want to iterate the list, here we are going to use the for loop. We are giving it as a for I in Z. Z is nothing but this is my list. From this Z, I am assigning a variable called as a I. With this, what will happen is if I am given the print of I, if you observe, see what's happening? It is giving same result, but instead of displaying this as a result as a list, it is displaying all the individual elements on top of your output. It is giving all the values one by one. First value 1, then Srini, then 100, then Hyderabad. After that, 2 quality, 200 and Vizag. This is the way you can able to populate the values. No, I don't want to get the values like this. I want to get all the values in the single line. Then what we can do here, directly we can able to give it as a print of Z. But depending on your convenience, if you want to see all the values one by one, then we can able to go for this kind of approach. Otherwise, if you want to see all the values in the single line, then what we can do here, directly we can able to give it as a print of Z. With the print of Z, we can able to populate all the values like this. Okay. Any questions up to here? Please ask me.
Sir,
Yeah, please.
in the sense, the bytes and byte array operator depends on the list in a way.
Yes, indirectly. So directly we cannot able to create the bytes operator only. So first we need to create the list. After that we are using the bytes function. Indirectly, if you observe here what operation we are doing is we are performing the typecasting. I can able to say we are performing the typecasting, which is nothing but first we are creating the list. That list we are converting it as a bytes data type by using the function called as a bytes function. This kind of operation we can able to call it as a typecasting operation. I can able to say whenever we are converting one data type to other data type, that operation we can call it as typecasting. Now see, for example, just I will show you one more example. So coming to your question, that is the correct answer. On top of list only, we can able to create the byte data type. Now I want to explain about the typecasting. For example, I'm giving a equal to 10.2. Okay. Now if I'm going to give it as a type of a, what's happening? It is giving output as a float. Okay. Now what I will do here is I will give it as a b equal to int of a. Indirectly, what I'm doing, whatever the value be given for the a, it is a kind of a float value or it's a kind of a decimal value. Now we are converting this a with the integer data type. Indirectly, we are giving it as a int of a and d. Now if you click on enter, after that I'm giving type of b. You see in the b what's happening? Indirectly, we are converting this float data type as a integer data type. Now if I'm going to give it as a print of b, what will happen? We are getting output as a normal integer value because we are converting the float data type to the integer data type by using the function called, by using the data type called as a int data type. This kind of operation we can able to call it as a typecasting operation. In the above example, what we are doing? We are converting list to byte. Indirectly, as part of creation of the bytes data type, we perform the typecasting operation. With the help of the typecasting operation, you can able to do all these kind of things. Okay. Now in the same way, for example, I am giving x equal to 10. After that, I am giving y equal to float of x. Now tell me what is going to happen indirectly. I am giving x equal to 10. After that, I am giving y equal to float of x. What will happen? We are converting integer to the float. For example, if I am giving type of y, what's happening? We are getting output as a float. Or if you are giving the print of y, any cases, what would be the output?
10.0.
Is giving output as a simply 10.0. So like that, by depending on the requirements, we can able to perform the typecasting operations. As part of this example, first I am creating the list. On top of that, we are applying the bytes data type. With that, I am doing the typecasting operation. With that, I am creating the bytes data type or I am creating the byte array data type by depending on my requirement. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. But in the sense, bytes, does it with only with the list or with every data?
Yeah, you can try with other things on it. So actually, I tried with the list. With that, I created this. In the same way, you can create a tuple. On top of the tuple, try to perform the bytes operation. If it is working, we can able to say it is working.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now, what we'll do here is, just 1 second. I'm giving the print of Z, whether we are having the list or not. Okay. Now we are having the list here. Now what I will do here is I'm giving Z of 0 is equal to, for example, I'm giving it as a 100, or I will give it as a 111. So indirectly what I'm trying to do here, in this Z list, whatever the first element we are having, I am changing this first element and so to change the elements, what I'm doing here, I am given the Z of 0, which is nothing but I am considering the first element. For this first element, I am assigning the variable called as a 111. Now see what's happening indirectly. On top of the Z list, we are changing the first element by depending on my requirement. Earlier I given one statement. On top of the tuples, we cannot able to perform this kind of changes only. But on top of the list, if you want, we can able to perform this change. Now my requirement is I want to see the data. You see, if I'm given the print of Z, what's happening? Coming to first element, earlier we are having the value called as a 1. But now if you observe here, if I'm given the print of Z in the 0th element, what is happening here? It is displaying the value called as a 111. So this is the way we can able to update the values on top of your list by depending on our requirement. On top of the list, at any position, we can able to update the values. For example, in the second element, Z of 1, instead of Srini, I want to give this value as a Srini underscore was. So this is the change I'm doing. So I'm given the Z of 1, which is nothing but second element indirectly. And here I'm giving the value called as a Srini underscore was. If I'm given the print of Z, what will happen here? We can able to see the respective data like that. By depending on our requirement, you can able to perform any kind of updates on top of your list only. So whenever you want to perform these kind of updates, we have to give it as a on which position you want to do the change, and we need to specify with which value you want to update. We need to specify all this kind of information. Once we are given this kind of information, with that what we can do here, on top of the list, we can able to perform the update operation. That is the one more operation we can able to perform here. List update operations. We can able to perform list update operations. Now tell me here my requirement is, this is the Z. In this Z, we are having all these elements only. Now this is the latest one. All these elements. Now my requirement is, I want to add one more element at the end. And for that element, I want to give the value is, for example, 10,000. In any cases, what we have to do? I am already having the Z list. In the Z list, we are having these many elements. Now my requirement is, I want to add one more element at the end. There I want to give the value called as, for example, 10,000 or 1,000. Then what we have to do here? In any cases, I am giving it as a Z equal to Z plus, I am giving the value like this. You'll see what will happen. What I did, I given the Z is equal to Z plus 1,000. After that, I'm giving the print of Z. See what's happening? It is giving all the Z values. After that, it is given the 1,000. Indirectly, if you observe what operation we are doing under any cases, Z is a list. Z is a list. 1,000 we are giving in the square bracket. Indirectly, this is also acting as a list. And indirectly, what we are doing here, in between Z list and this list, we are performing the concatenate operation. Already we discussed about the concatenate operation here. Same concatenate operation we are doing one more time only. We are Z is a list. Here we are given the 1,000 within the square bracket. Whenever we are given the values within the square bracket, internally what will happen? It will take it as a list only. With that, indirectly it is going to perform the concatenate operation on top of your list. With that, it is adding this value at the end. And so this is the way you can able to add the values on top of your list. We can able to say, we can able to add elements on top of the list. So all these are the different operations we can able to perform on top of the list study. Please try to understand each and every point whatever we are discussing, because after the list we need to discuss about the tuple and we need to discuss about the set study. And coming to tuple, it is not going to allow some of the operations whatever we discussed on the list. Indirectly, we are going to compare list and tuple after completion of the tuple discussion. At that point of time, I am going to give the information. We cannot able to perform some operations on the tuple, but we can able to perform some operations on the list. But if you want to understand that concept, first we need to understand what all are the operations we can able to perform on top of the list. And for that reason, I am taking this much of time to understand about the list. Okay. Any questions again up to here? Please ask me.
While adding the extra like 10,000, how it will settle in last?
No, because we are doing the indirectly concatenate operation, right? As part of concatenation, where it will add automatically. As part of concatenation, for example, I'm given the string concatenation, I'm given the Srinu plus Vasu. What will happen? Your Vasu will add at the end of the first string. In the same way, here, what is the first list? Z. What is the second list? 1000. On top of the first list, we are adding the second list and for the reason it is taking all the first list values. After that, it is taking the last value. For that reason, it is adding at the end. Now, for example, see here, we'll see the same thing. I am given Z is equal to 2000 plus Z. Now you tell me what will happen. 2000 will add at the beginning or 2000 will add at the end. We'll see that. Just I'm given the print of Z. Now indirectly, I am given the 2000 within the square bracket, which is nothing but this is the list one. On top of this list, we are performing the concatenate operation. Now if I am going to give the print of Z, sorry, what's happening? You can able to see 2000 as a first element because you are doing the concatenation on top of this list with the second list only. That's the reason it is given the first list value as a 2000. After that, it is given the second list value. This is the way you need to understand how it is populating this value at the end. Is it clear?
Sir, can we add in between them?
No, in between you cannot able to add it, but what we can do here is we can able to update the values. So for example, if you want to give in between, what we need to do here? We need to give it as, for example, Z of 3. If I'm going to give the Z of 3, what will happen? 0, 1, 2, 3, whatever the values we are having in the Hyderabad, that value will update with the new value, whatever we are going to provide. Okay. Any other questions up here? Okay. If no questions, Andy, hope you are doing the practice for all these things in parallel with me. Otherwise, what I will do here is, whatever the things I am typing on top of this window only, I will copy all these things and I will send it in the notepad. So with that, after completion of the class also, you can able to perform the practice. Okay. Now you tell me, so far, whenever we are doing the practice, how many ways we did the practice? First one, by using ideally, we can able to perform the practice. In the ideally, what we can do here, we can able to run the single commands by depending on our requirement. That is one option. Other option, in the idea from ideally, create a file. After that, by using run module, you can able to run multiple lines by depending on the requirement. Run multiple lines. This is the one more option, Andy. Now third option we discussed about from the command prompt. Just we need to create a .py file. After that, from the command prompt, you have to give it as a Python space your file name .py. This is the one more way if you want to run the Python programs, and here also this we are using for to run multiple lines. Okay, all these are the different options we discussed so far as part of our classes. Now, before going further, just I want to show you one more approach how we can able to do the practice on top of the Python. So here what we can do is we can able to use the notebooks only, or we can able to call it as a Jupyter notebooks. So with the help of the Jupyter notebooks also, we can able to perform the practice on top of your Python program. But if you want to do the practice on top of the Jupyter notebooks, what we have to do here? First, we need to perform the installation. We need to perform installation of Jupyter. To perform the installation of Jupyter, very simple, and just what we have to do here is we need to give it as a pip install Jupyter. This is the command we need to pass. By giving this command, we can able to perform the installation. But from where we have to give this command? Open your command prompt. In the command prompt, we have to give the command called as a pip install Jupyter. Everyone, please try to install the Jupyter, because so far we are working on the IDLA, and so from now onwards we'll try to understand how we can able to use the Jupyter notebook, because in the real time most of the times we are going to use the Jupyter or we are going to use the some other options, and for that reason from now onwards I want to show you everything on the Jupyter. So please open the command prompt. How to open the command prompt? Go to start, just type cmd for example. With that you can able to open the command prompt. Okay, so in this command prompt, just to verify, just give it as a Python space -- version to check whether Python is working or not. So in my system, I am having the Python 3.11.5 version. If you are getting the output like this here, then only you can able to run the pip install command, and as part of installation day, I told you already. So you need to complete the installation. At the same time, you are in the position to perform the practice from the command prompt also. I am thinking everyone did all those operations. If you did all those operations from the command prompt, now you can able to easily install the Jupyter also. If you want to install the Jupyter, just give it as a pip install Jupyter. Please give this command and click on enter. In my system, I already installed it today. For that reason, I'm not giving the enter. In your system, please click on enter button. With that, you can able to open the Jupyter. It will take 30 to 40 seconds.
Sir, I'm getting an error.
What's the
Give spelling Jupyter.
sorry, it's my mistake. I say ER. Sorry, yeah, it's my mistake. Sorry. Pip install Jupyter ER, not OR.
Done, sir.
Okay. Just wait for 30-40 seconds. Other people also will complete. Then we'll go ahead with the next steps.
Sir, I'm getting Python not found.
Which means you have to configure the Python. So tell me, you haven't performed any practice from the Python command prompt so far?
Ideally, I had performed.
No, actually, I given some examples earlier with the to run from the Python prompt only. So those things I'm asking.
No, sir.
Yeah. So actually, in the group only, I given the information how you need to configure the Python variables. So please configure the Python variables in the environment variables. With that, you won't get that error.
Sure, sir.
So please travel parallelly with me, Andy. So whatever we are discussing every day, please complete those because every session is interlinked here. If you haven't performed the practice on top of this earlier, now today you are facing the issue. Again, we cannot able to spend the time for the installation of that activity, Andy. For that reason, please travel parallelly with me. I'm not pointing anyone, just I'm telling you. Okay, so in your case, what happened is in the environment variables, we are not having the path properly. For that reason, you are getting that error. Already someone asked this question earlier. I given the steps in the group, our Telegram group, and please open the Telegram group. There you can able to see the steps how to set up the environment variables. By using that, please try to set up the environment variables. With that error you won't get it. Okay. Now see here. First step is nothing but we need to perform the installation. After installation, if you want to open the notebooks or if you want to open the Jupyter notebook, you have to give the command like this and you have to give it as a Jupyter space notebook. Please give the command. After completion of all the installation, again you will come to the normal prompt only. In that normal prompt, you have to give the command called as a Jupyter space notebook. Jupyter space notebook. Just to wait for a few seconds, Sandy. If you're going to wait for a few seconds or 1 minute, it is going to open the browser window. In that browser window, we can able to perform the practice on the Python. So going forward, whenever I'm saying please open the notebook, what you have to do here, you need to open the command prompt. In the command prompt, you have to give the command called as a Jupyter space notebook only. So with that, we are going to open a notebook. In that notebook, we can able to perform all our practicals. Please remember this.
We'll get some default files.
Just wait for a few seconds. We'll open the browser window also. Don't click on enter or don't do any experiments study. After giving the command, just wait for 1 minute or 30-40 seconds. With that, it will open the browser like this. On my screen, if you see some browser open, right? In the same way, in your screen also some browser window will open. Anyone facing any issues? Okay. Now see here, once this window is going to open, this is the browser window only. So this is nothing but our Jupyter notebook. So from this Jupyter notebook also we can able to perform the practicals. Okay. So as part of real time, sometimes we are going to use the Jupyter notebooks also to perform the development activities. For that reason, just I'm showing you how we need to use the Jupyter. Now in this Jupyter, if you observe, we are having the option called as a new. Please click on that. Please click on new drop down. Once you click on the new drop down, here we can able to see the different options, and here we are having the terminal, console on all these things. Already we are working on the terminal and console, but here my requirement is I don't want to work on the terminal or console. I want to work on the notebook. For the reason, please click on the notebook. Click on the drop down on the new button, then click on the notebook.
What are those terminals and consoles? Sir?
Terminal is nothing but whatever the ideally you are working currently, that is nothing but terminal. And console is nothing but whatever the work we are doing from the command prompt, right? That is nothing but console. Okay. So once we click on the new, then once we click on the notebook, here you can able to get the pop-up like this, and so select the kernel. Kernel is nothing but by using which environment you want to run all your programs in this window. So here you have to select it as a Python 3. Please select the Python 3. Click on select. So every time it will ask the same thing. If you don't want to pop up this kind of window, please enable this button. Always start the preferred kernel. You can able to click on this checkbox. With that, every time it is going to use the same Python 3 kernel. Otherwise, without checking this also, you can able to click on the select by depending on your convenience. Click on new, then click on notebook. Once you click on the notebook, it is going to open one more window. In that window, you have to select the kernel, give it as a Python 3. Once you are going to click on the select button, then it is going to open the window like this. Okay. Now in this window, we can able to run any kind of commands, and just I'm showing you some sample commands. Basic command, I'm giving print of hello. Now this is the one of the command already we ran from the IDLE. Now same command, if you want, we can able to run from here also. This actually we can able to call it as a cell only. In the cell, we are writing our commands. After that, if you want to run this command, we need to click on the run button. By click on the run button, we can able to run the cell. See, we are getting the output automatically. And if you want to run one more command, just give it as a, in the other cell, give it as one more command. After that, click on run button. So I can able to say it is completely similar to your IDLE, or it is similar to your other windows only. And the only thing is nothing but this is the one more way we can able to run our Python programs as part of our real time. Just for understanding that and just for get the real time knowledge, just I'm showing you how we can able to run the programs on top of our Jupyter window. Okay. Now, for example, after doing all the practice, if you want to save all these things, and what we can do here is just to go to file. Here we can able to see the option called as a save notebook. Just click on that. I'm giving some name here. Actually, if you see at the top only, earlier we are having the name called as a untitled. Now I given the name as a practice. For that reason, it is showing the name as a practice. At the same time, whatever we are doing the practice, everything will save automatically into the practice. Okay. And one more important thing, please remember this. Earlier what we did, from the command prompt, you ran the command called as a Jupyter space notebook only. After that, by giving all this kind of information, it is opening this browser. Okay. Now, after opening this browser, please don't close this command prompt. And if you are going to close this command prompt, what will happen? You cannot able to continue the work on top of your Jupyter window. If you want to continue the work on the Jupyter window, you should not close this command prompt. Just I will give it as a note. If you want to continue practice on Jupyter notebook window, please don't close command prompt. Command prompt which we use for notebook launch. So might be you're having 3-4 command prompts. Don't get the confusion which command prompt we should not close. Whatever the command prompt we are using to run this command, Jupyter space notebook, so that command prompt we should not close. If you are going to close that command prompt, then what will happen? Your notebook will close automatically, or it will throw some kind of error study. For that reason, till you are going to do the work on top of this Jupyter notebook from the browser window, till that time you should not close the command prompt window. With that, what will happen? You can able to perform the proper practice. Okay. After that, after completion of all the practice, you can able to save. Then you can close your browser window. After that, if you want, you can able to close your command prompt also. So this is the way we can able to perform the operations. Now see, for example, I am closing the Jupyter notebook browser window. After that, I am closing the command prompt. Now my requirement is I want to open again Jupyter notebook one more time. What we have to do? I have closed my Jupyter notebook. My requirement is again I want to open the Jupyter notebook. What we can do? Again, please just open the command prompt only. In the command prompt, just give the command called as a Jupyter space notebook. So with this, what will happen? Again, you can able to open the browser. In the browser, you can able to continue with your practice study. And why I am telling all this information here is, whatever the topics we discussed today, please try to perform the practice for all these topics on the Jupyter notebook, because from last 3 days or 4 days onwards, we are doing the practice on the IDLE. So today, please try to perform all this practice on the Jupyter notebook. Now people will get the question. If I am going to do practice on IDLE, what will happen? Will it work or not? Whatever we discussed today, whatever the topics we discussed today, will all these topics are going to work on the IDLE or not? Obviously, it will work. Okay, don't think that in IDLE these comments are not going to work. Don't think like that only. Just I'm trying to show you the multiple ways of our Python education, because in the real time, sometimes we are going to work on IDLE, sometimes we are going to work on the notebook. Just you need to get some kind of exposure on multiple ways to run your Python programming. That's the reason from today onwards, we'll try to understand how we can able to utilize the Jupyter notebook. With that, you can able to get some hands-on experience on top of the Jupyter. Now see, for example, what I'm doing is I'm giving it as a x equal to input of enter your name. What is the purpose of input, if you remember?
We want to add multiple
It will
lines.
populate the prompt. Okay, so just I'm giving print of x here. After that, how to run this cell? Within the single cell, if you want, you can able to give the multiple lines of commands also. And after typing all the commands, if you want to run it, how to run it? Just now we discussed. Just click on this run button. Once we click on run, see it is asking enter your name only, and give the name is, for example, Srinivas. After that, click on enter. Now see, it is giving output as we give the print of x. It taken the input value as a Srinivas. With that, we got the output as a Srinivas only. So indirectly, I'm trying to say whatever the commands or whatever the things we discussed today or in the previous sessions, everything you can able to perform the practice with the help of our Jupyter notebook. Anyone facing the issues as part of Jupyter installation or opening this window, please let me know.
Where we can see the saved file, sir?
Yeah. So actually, whatever the command prompt we open, just if you go to the command prompt, here just give it as a dir. So if you give the dir, if you observe here, we given the name called as a practice. There it is. Yeah, so this is the one. So from whatever the command prompt you open, right? So in that command prompt only it is storing all the things only. So when I given the command prompt, what the path it is showing? C drive, users, then indirectly whatever the file I'm saving here, that file is saving in this same path. Just open a new command prompt. There you can able to see what is the path. Please go to that path. In that path, you can able to see your notebook file. Just I will go to this path to show you. See it right? Users, Dell. This is in my system only. Here I can able to see the practice file. So see, this is the practice file which we created. So I'm seeing the name of the file like this.
By default, it is choosing the path.
Yeah, by default it is
Yes.
choosing only. Actually, in the older versions, I saw the option whenever we are going to click like this, it is given the path. So in which path you want to save, it is asking that. But in this version, for some reason, it is not showing that one only. But for now, you can click on the save. But I can able to say whenever we are going to click on the save, what is happening by default, it is saving in this path. Just I will check that once. So why it is not allowing us to store it into the other paths? But actually in the Jupyter Notebook, we are having that feature. You can able to save anywhere by depending on our requirement. But in this version, I'm not seeing that option. I will check and I will let you know how we can able to save it in the required paths. But for now, from whatever the path we are opening the command prompt, in that path only it is storing all these notebooks whenever we are going to save the things.
If I want to do practice in the saved files, then how is that possible?
Yeah, you can able to open it. So just to go to the file, here you can able to see the option called as a reload the notebook from the disk. By using this option, you can able to reload whatever the file you created. You can able to reload in the same file. You can able to continue your practice if you want. If you want to save, we have to click on the save notebook. If you want to open the existing one, then we need to click on the reload notebook from the disk. Okay.
Sir, from real time also we are using Jupyter.
Yeah, we are going to use the Jupyter in the real time also.
Sir, if I will use your Visual Studio or Python, that is also okay.
Yeah,
Or
that also we can
say
that's the thing, Andy. So in the real time, we are going to use the multiple things in the multiple projects. In some of the projects, we are going to use the Jupyter. In some projects, we are going to use the PyCharm. In some projects, we are going to use the Visual Studio. We'll go one by one. Okay, for example, in your project, you are not having the Visual Studio, or they are not given the permission to you to install the Visual Studio into your office laptop. Then what will happen? They will ask you to work on the Jupyter. That's the reason just we are discussing about the Jupyter. For example, in your project, already they are allowing you to work on the Visual Studio, or they are allowing you to work on the PyCharm IDE. Then what we can do? You can able to perform all these things by using those options also. But I'm in the class or as a faculty, I'm trying to explain what all are the different ways we can able to open the Python. Okay, coming back to your question, in your project, if you are having the Visual Studio, you can able to use the Visual Studio. If you are having the PyCharm, you can able to use the PyCharm. If you don't have the Visual Studio, if you don't have the PyCharm, if you are having the only notebook, then what we can do here, you can able to do all the dev activities on top of the Jupyter Notebook by depending on the type of the project or by depending on the type of the situation. Either we are going to use the Jupyter or we are going to use the IDE or we are going to use the ILTE by depending on our convenience.
okay, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Any other questions so far? Okay, after doing all the practice study, as I told you, just you can able to save it. After that, you can able to close this window. After closing this window, then you can able to close the command prompt. Like that, you can able to close our Jupyter Notebook. Again, tomorrow, if you want to open the Jupyter, again, we are going to the same command prompt. Again, we are going to use the command called as a Jupyter space notebook. With that, by using the Jupyter Notebook, we can able to perform the practice. Okay. Yeah, if no questions on it, that's all for today. In the tomorrow session, we'll discuss about some other topics.
Sir, I have one question.
Yeah, please.
Sir, I have an error operation cancelled by user.
Where you are getting that error in the command prompt?
I install the notebook. Full installation will be completed. I enter the Jupyter Notebook.
Okay. Yeah, I think before opening the window only you did some kind of operations. Might be that's the reason you are getting that error. What you can do is just to close the command prompt window, open the fresh command prompt. In that, please give the command again, same. So Jupyter space notebook only. Just to wait for 30-40 seconds without doing any activity. With that, it will open the Jupyter window.
Okay, sir. Can I install again, sir? No problem.
We are not installing only. So what you have to do, just you have to, your installation is completed. Just you have to give this command, Jupyter space notebook. This is not for installation. This is for opening our Jupyter Notebook.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Yeah, this is the command you have to give. Just to open the new command prompt. In that command prompt, just give the command called as a Jupyter space notebook. That's it.
Okay, sir, thanks.
Sir, in real time, we'll use this Python, or we'll combine this Python with BigQuery or GCS services.
Yeah, we are going to combine the Python with the GCS, and we are going to combine the Python with the BigQuery. For that reason only we are discussing all these topics only. Once we understood the Python, then we are going to integrate the Python with the GCS. Then we can able to see the integration of Python with the BigQuery. That's the reason
We'll
only we are
never
discussing all
use
this.
this. We'll never use this separately.
Okay, please repeat. We'll never use we will use separately. So when we will use it here is, for example, if you are going to write any kind of PySpark programming, then what we will do here, we are going to write the Python programming plus Spark. Combination of both the things, we are going to use the PySpark. Now, for example, when I'm calling it as a Python plus GCS, what it means indirectly? You need to write some code in the Python. In that code, we are going to call the GCS related operators. With that, we are going to write the code. Now, you tell me, when we are going to discuss about this topic, indirectly what we are doing? You are writing Python programming only. Okay.
Like last time we used SQL with PySpark, SQL with.
Yeah, same way.
Like,
the same thing, same way. So we are going to use the Python with the GCS. In the same way, we are going to use the Python with the BigQuery. To understand those topics only, we are trying to understand about the Python programming. Once this
so
Python program
again
is...
Yeah, so again we have to create by using buckets and all those by using Python.
Yes, correct. So far what we did, we created the buckets from the console. After that, we created the bucket from the, we created the bucket by using the Cloud SDK commands. In the same way, in the real time, what will happen in some of the projects, we need to create the buckets and we need to perform the operations on the bucket with the help of the Python. That's the reason we are discussing about the Python. After completion of the Python, then I will show you with the help of the Python how we can able to communicate with the GCS. With the help of Python, how we can able to communicate to the BigQuery. Is it clear?
Sir, after I entered the new window, Jupyter Notebook was not found like this.
Sir, I got error like after installation of pip install Jupyter and given the command Jupyter space notebook, but it isn't file not found. It is internal and external command showing like error.
Sir, can they can try with this Python -m notebook. For me also, it was showing that error. I tried with this.
Okay. So yeah, can you please ping that command in the chat only? So might be with that people can able to do it.
Okay.
We should have the same problem.
Sorry.
I typed in Telegram.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So someone is suggesting this approach, and you can try this approach.
Okay, sir.
But it will work with the Jupyter Space Notebook also. If your installation is completed properly, please check the spelling just one time only. And if it is not working, as some other person suggested, you can try with this also. Anything is fine. It need to work. That's it.
Sir, and this Jupyter is kind of what can we say? Is it an ideally? Sorry,
it's an IDE. It's an IDE.
IDE, right?
Yeah.
Sir, I can see a Jupyter Notebook not found. What can I do?
No, give this command. So someone suggested this command. Give the command as a Python space -m space notebook. Try with this command. So someone also faced the same issue. So then she tried with this command. So she is saying that is working. You can try this option if you want. Python space -m space notebook. Any other questions? Okay, if no questions, that's all for today, Andy. So I will give the confirmation in the next 20 or 30 minutes whether we are having the 2:30 session or not. So with that, we'll connect in the 2:30 session. Thank you. Thank you all.